As we enter into this service, let me remind those of you in the sanctuary now would be a good time to silence your cell phones. And those of you participating over in Zoom land, you have been muted by our host. Hi. Also be advised that this service is being recorded and with the exceptions of joys and concerns, will be published online. Finally, if you wish, take a moment to arrange your own chalice at home. I was going to ask Dolores to light the chalice today. She's also doing our our computer, so we'll give her a minute to come over here. Sorry. Next time I'll call on someone who wasn't doing the AV. Sorry, I didn't know. Dolores is wearing many, many hats today. She is. And she was the first one here, and so I wanted to get that checked off my list. Thank you. You're welcome. We light this chalice to honor our work, to celebrate our community, and to bring hope and determination to our mission in the wider world. Those were words by Crystal Hogan. I'm now going to read the opening words. I did them in the wrong order. Sorry, Dolores. I tried to cut and paste the script a little bit, and it's not what I usually do, but I have good opening words. Let's take a breath. We whose journeys are always beginning, we whose mission always awaits us, we whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together here. We gather as a community drawn together out of a common need, each toting our own carpet bag of treasures and dreams. We've lit the chalice already. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body and or spirit and sing the opening hymn, All Are Called, by Debussy and Hartwood.
All are called to this moment. All are called in many ways. Hearts knit strong by compassion. All are called to this day.
Thank you, Jan. Jan is doing our delightful music this morning because Mary's down at a family event down south. Welcome. There you go. Come pull up a chair. Yeah, there you go. Let's get all in the circle here. Great to see you. Great to see you. Great. We know how to include people, right? Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak in our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect us with our UU 7 principles. Today's service centers around the third principle. We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation. Spiritual growth isn't about a vertical ascent to heaven, but about growth in every dimension at once. It's spirituality in 3D. Growth in spirit doesn't measure one's proximity to a God above, but rather the spaciousness of one's own soul, its volume, its capacity, its size. We need souls that can take in the world in all its complexity and diversity, yet still maintain our integrity. And we need souls that can love and be in relationship with all of this complexity. Instead of fight or flight, we need a spiritual posture of embrace. My name is Sue Davis, and I'm your worship associate for this morning's service. I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning. If you're not on the mailing list, please see the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening, the e-blast sent to you every week by Laurie. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. If you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. The membership committee invites non-members to consider joining the UUCC. We have our new member with us today, Julia. Please contact Diane DeMarco or a person on the board if you are interested. Would the board members wave, please, so we know who you are? Yeah, Dolores is waving over there. Randy's waving back there. Everyone's working today. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for any announcements that would be of interest to our UU community, members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point, If something needs more explanation, contact the person after the service. If you'd like to make an announcement, please raise your hand. When Randy out in Zoomland or I call your name, please step up to the podium or unmute yourself, then speak. Is Randy first? Randy, and then we have Wayne.
Good morning, everyone. Tomorrow at 4:30 on Zoom, we are having our monthly worship committee meeting, and those of you on the committee, please be there. And if you're interested in attending, please contact me and I'll get you the Zoom link. That's tomorrow at 4:30. And also just a reminder that I'm still looking for, in fact, I'm looking for anybody to volunteer to read a sermon this August. So if you're around during August and you'd like to come up here and read, share with us a sermon, something that really appeals to you, so forth, get in touch with me so I can get you scheduled. But I'm looking for folks in our community to do that for August, part of our summer series. Thank you.
This is an advance announcement. Greenspace, along with a lot of other organizations, will be celebrating Earth Day, April 22nd. It's a Saturday, roughly a month from now. We've had kind of a low profile on Earth Day the last few years, and that's going to change this year. So and we will be looking for some volunteers to help run the operation. And if you're interested, you can call the Greenspace office.
Hi, good morning. This is just a reminder for the people in the men's group or anyone else that we are showing the men's group continuing with cinema series on thoughtful thinking. And tomorrow night at my house, we're showing Crip Camp, which is that marvelous documentary that introduced, that eventually resulted in the Americans with Disability Act. So that's tomorrow at my house at 5:30. Thank you.
Jan?
We're coming to we're actually midpoint. We need to have our scholarship choices defined by April, middle of April. We must have them. So we know how to notify them so that they can join us for our celebration on June 4th, which is a big scholarship service, and we're going to have a luncheon afterward. It's going to be lovely. This Thursday, next Thursday, April 6th, we interview the Leffingwell students. There are 5 who applied for scholarships to the UU. And we have chosen 9 from Coast Union, and we hope to choose 2 from Leffingwell. So that gives us 11. And it's kind of a hefty number, and we might have to cut. We're on our way to 9. We have almost enough to give 9 students. So I'm begging you, unabashedly begging, to please make any contribution you can so we can honor or reward these 11 students who really, really are deserving. Thank you.
Any announcements in Zoomland, Randy?
Yes, there are. Kat, could you please unmute yourself and make your announcement?
Hi, everybody. The Moving Towards Racial Justice group is putting up a new book, Inventing Latinos by Laura E. Gomez, to add to the rest of the books we've put up regarding racial justice. It'll be on the bookshelf. Thank you.
Okay, that's all.
Next week, our own Dolores Mira and Andy Fagan will explain UUA General Assembly 2023 in Cambria. Spoiler alert, in June, we will be Zooming here, the GA from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So they'll tell you all about that next week. It's exciting, right? We'll be part of GA, General Assembly. Sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns bring us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as part of your personal life. Express a gratitude or perhaps offer an acknowledgement, but please be mindful and considerate of all who come to worship this morning. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but also deeply felt in this community. Please join in singing the response.
May our words of joy and sorrow lead us to unity and peace.
The first reading today is called Guided by Vision, Mission, and Covenant, and it's part of the UU Congregational Handbook. Who are we as individual Unitarian Universalist congregations? Who are you when you gather? Who are you as a religious community? When done well, the vision, mission, and covenant process captures the people's sense of who they are and who they want to be as a religious community. It is the clearest articulation of why the people think the congregation should exist, and the result can help the congregation in all areas of decision-making. Vision, mission, and covenant are resources for congregational development and health. Congregations that have living vision, mission, and covenant statements are the ones that are growing, not only in numbers, but also in the depth of membership commitment. This growth shows in the depth of the commitment members have to the world around them and to living more fulfilled lives. When a congregation's leadership uses the mission to create objectives and to make decisions, the commitment of the members is strengthened. In congregational decision-making, the way forward should reflect the vision and mission of the congregation. Let us now join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence. Let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles. And in the silence, may there be a reverence in our heart, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter the stillness. May we find the compassion and empathy we need to strengthen relationships. May we find ways to love each other well. May we not judge or condemn, but rather build a beloved community. The second reading is also from the UU Congregational Handbook. It is always helpful to understand how language is used in a particular context. There are many competing definitions of the words vision, mission, and covenant. In this document, they mean the following. Covenant, a statement of how members of the congregation will be with and will behave towards one another, as well as what is promised or vowed to one another and to the congregation as a whole. Vision, a carefully defined picture of where the congregation wants to be in 5 or more years. It is the dream of what the congregation can become in alignment with their mission. Mission, a concise statement of the congregation's core purpose, what the congregation wants to be known for or known as within the wider world, what the congregation wants to mean to the community. And from another UU book, Serving with Grace, Lay Leadership as a Spiritual Practice by Eric Wilkstrom. If you have a mission statement, and it's a good one, it answers the question of why your congregation exists in the first place. If your congregation life is really centered around its mission, its purpose in the world, then each and every issue that comes before each board, committee, and working group will relate in one way or another to this central statement. Keeping the mission statement in mind or physically in front of you throughout a meeting will help you to keep from straying too far from that clear focus. Accomplishing tasks becomes secondary. Learning to engage deeply and mindfully with yourself and others while looking at your group's work becomes primary. So today's congregational circle is focused on the mission statement. And as you can see, we're sitting in a different formation to facilitate this, and we'll include our Zoom participants also. Now that we have a clearer idea of what a mission statement is and its importance, let's share our thoughts as to how we relate and implement our UUCC mission statement. It is our purpose and why we exist as a church. The mission statement, we strive to build community through love, to support spiritual growth, and to promote social and environmental justice. Please consider these 3 questions. What does our mission statement mean to you? Elaborate on one way that we fulfill our mission statement, and share one way that we could do more. We'll pass the mic, that will be our talking stick, around the circle. Remember that we are practicing healthy communication between us as we share our thoughts and feelings. Everyone's perspectives are respected, valued, and appreciated. Please actively listen when others are speaking. Feel free to pass when it's your turn to speak. If you want to just listen, you are very welcome to do that. We will go around our circle and Zoom participates at least once. We'll end our circle about 10 to 11. And for those at home, please remain muted, but raise your hand, and at some point, Randy or I will call on you. So let's begin. welcome to pass. Use the microphone. You know, we decided that we had to use the mic because it was clearer, whereas the other people, and don't be intimidated.
Okay. And I do think you do a great job leading things.
You have a real bad buzz in the audience mic. Randy's working on the chord for us. Yeah. Oh, that one. There you go. Perfect. That was it? Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All set? As a member of the community for several years now, I think the mission statement and this community are a perfect match. I think it reflects what I've seen this community do, what it wants to do, and the like, from building community through love and to support spiritual growth and to provide social and environmental justice. I think it's very active on all those fronts, and it really sums up this community well. A couple of aspects. The community part of it, I think, is really important. Just being together like we are now is an important thing that's been lost to many of us over the years. People just don't get together anymore in this kind of format or form, and I think that's really important for society to survive correctly. Churches have fulfilled that role throughout history, and sometimes misused. I have different views on those things, but still it's an important role that these kind of community groups are important to a successful society and a good society. So that's number one. And there's kind of a side comment. I've often wondered about spirituality and spiritual growth, and I've wondered what spirituality really meant, and I still haven't quite succeeded in that. But when we come together as a community, I do feel a special spirituality. And so to me, that's what exists as far as my spirituality occurs in this group. So as far as things we could do more, that's difficult to say. I mean, we need to grow to spread the good word, as other churches say. And I didn't mean knocking door to door and having little pamphlets, but still, that's the one thing that's really hard to address and to deal with. So that's it for me. Who wants to go next?
I'd like to follow up on a couple of things he just said. One of the things I think we as a community can do so much better is to reach out and help one another. There are a number of people who are isolated in this community, they're alone, and I think by just reaching out and saying hello, helping people, finding out what we can do to help, that will do more to perpetuate the idealism of universal love and peace than just about anything else. So I'd like to see things done on a more practical level rather than an esoteric level. And that's probably my only concern. Julie, would you like to say something?
I like what Art just said, and I think that would be beneficial for growth as well, to reach out to people that aren't necessarily part of UU. And as far as all the other statements, I'm not sure if this pertains, but what is amazing to me about UU is the shared experience, how we have a different worship associate every week, and the joys and the concerns and everything that we do, or you do, because I haven't really joined anything yet, outside of today, to to create that community feeling. But yeah, I like Art's idea, is good. And I hope to get more involved with the things that you all do soon.
Well, good morning. Yeah, the business of love, to me, I'm always, I guess, loving through action. I'm always involved in something that I'm doing, and I hope that appropriately shares my caring about others and this planet and other creatures. Supporting spiritual growth, one of the things that of course appeals to me is, you know, the universal aspect of it. I was talking with Wayne just yesterday about, you know, my perspective on things. I was involved in a UCC church for a long time, and you know, when I was young, you know, I was very immersed in Far Eastern thought, and so I mean, if someone were to nail me down and say, you know, well, what are you? I would have to tell them I'm a Buddhist. And so I spent most of my years in, you know, in any congregation, you know, reinterpreting everything I was hearing in terms of Buddhist teachings, which worked fine. You know, in an open type of community, you can do that, and I appreciate that about this particular community. I think it's also really great that so many of the people that have done presentations have certainly expanded my appreciation and awareness of spiritual growth in, geez, a whole number of different ways, which I think, you know, I think we're doing very well. As far as social and environmental justice, you know, we certainly are doing that with our groups, and every month I am graced with a number of people helping to clean up our local environment. I mean, we're responsible for 4 miles of highway, and we keep it pretty darn clean, if you ask me. So, you know, that's another part of you know, and of course it's worked out well for us in terms of financial compensation. But we would have done it anyway, because you know we're a group of people who do care about the environment. It's obvious, people talk about it all the time. So all those factors in the mission definitely you know, ring with me. So those are ways we fulfill our mission statement. What could we do more? Well, I think we're doing a lot to start with. I think we need to recognize that we are doing quite a bit. I think that there's an opportunity, because I was thinking about, you know, a couple of people I know that, you know, their particular religious organization just isn't quite, you know, they're sort of neither right there, or they're sort of in between, they're not. So, you know, all those kinds of things are the kinds of things where you really have to, I think, get belly button to belly button with people. You really have to speak to people one-to-one. If you really want to you know, to share an idea or to encourage participation with a group or with a mindset, it really has to be, I think, an interpersonal activity before you know, somebody is going to, you know, want to come and join us. So I think that's, you know, that's really up to us sort of on an individual basis, I guess.
Let's see, our mission statement, build community through love. I experience love in this community in many ways. Kind, loving, compassionate, good human beings with values. It's a pleasure to be part of this group, and I'm hoping that more people will come and join us in that way, and it's astonishing to me that they don't. that there are not more people out there who want to be part of something like this. It's surprising to me. I am, in terms of fulfilling the mission statement, well, let me go back to spiritual growth. I find spirituality in the music, in singing. I find spirituality in the readings, and in the connection and the bond that we have, the communion that we have. That's all feeling very spiritual to me. But I also know that spirituality has to do with opening to knowing oneself. And I think in that way, I think we're already very busy. So to add anything more to that, but I think in that area, we could spend a little bit more time knowing ourselves. Is it Socrates who said that? Know thyself? But I do experience the spiritual community here, so that's lovely. And I think we have a tremendous amount of hard-working human beings. When we first came together, the minister from San Luis Obispo had said to us, "You're too few people, and there'll be too many people who are doing all the work and some that don't do any, and you'll go down in a year." Well, thank you very much. She was wrong. We had a lot of people who did a lot of work, and I see people doing a lot of work. Much appreciation to those people who continue to keep us together with the amount of work that they put in. And you know, and I've also heard it said, I wish more people would come out for, but I think people are doing everything they possibly can be doing, actually, at this moment in time. They're putting out what they can put out. So I'm not sure if there is anything more we can do at this moment unless we get more members. And that may be something we want to focus on in brainstorming and seeing what can happen there. Thank you.
I'd hope to pass this on, but just one. Okay. What I have to say is very short. Just regarding the issue of spiritual growth and what was just said, this issue of self-knowledge. The thing that struck me coming here originally was this is my first experience with a lay-led congregation. And, excuse me, I find it useful, and in some ways I prefer it to a congregation that's led by a minister. The ministers are schooled in advising people, and that's all very well and good. But I found it very useful to come to these services and get different people's takes on what's going on with them or the world around them. And that then enables me to compare and perhaps take an idea here and an idea there. And also and also importantly, to be asked to give us a presentation causes one then to think very hard and very carefully. And that in itself is an amazingly useful exercise. And that only works when you have a willing audience willing to listen to what you have to say. So I think it's one of the marvelous features of this group. And I think I'd like to see more of that. Yeah, well, I like sermons, that other people like, over the summer, but I found it most valuable when I'm hearing stuff that's out of somebody else's direct experience. Something. But anyway, it's hard to say. That was the main thing. I just, what Diane said just kind of alerted me to that point. I mean, what do I really like about this group? And the singing, of course. This congregation is amazing, and it's small, but it makes a marvelous voice. So anyway, that's kind of everything. Wayne, are you prepared to speak?
Well, no, I will pass, but I did want, following up, when we have a real minister come to speak, for me, it's never as compelling as when I hear from one of you or from someone else who has not been through the training.
Funny. Yeah, so we don't have a minister, but we don't know what the hell we're doing, but we do it very well. My only thought about all of this, and I know we don't have to talk about every single point there, is that we don't reach out enough to draw people in. And I was just thinking about the big banner we have that we used years ago during the Women's March in Slow. And it was pour-assing rain, and Mary and I are carrying this thing in our raincoats and everything, you side with love. And it was so effective. It was so wonderful. Why can't we do that, not like the other denominations at farmers market or other events, community events, and have side with love and sponsor something? Do you know, sign up for this march or sign up for this Earth Day event we're doing, sign up for this. We don't do that enough, and we really should. That's I don't know how you can include that in a mission statement to promote social and environmental justice by proselytizing or something. We don't want to do that, but we should do something.
I'm just going to pass, but I want to say we've been doing it for 15 years, so thank you, everybody.
And I do think that we should follow this up with a vision meeting. We've done the covenant, and we're doing the mission statement, but a vision statement. And I must say, for myself, becoming more spiritual has been when my arm has been pulled into the board, being on the board, being on different committees. So that's made it a deeper connection for me.
Following up on Jan's comment, I had something happen last month that really put it in perspective. There is a book, a bestseller book called The Search, which is about a Unitarian church down in the LA area searching. Okay, my book club, someone picked it. I still don't understand her. She's a diehard Roman Catholic, and she just thought it was the most wonderful book she'd ever read. But she knew nothing about Unitarianism. So we had our luncheon meeting to discuss the book, and I took all kinds of propaganda. But what I was amazed at, out of 10 people in this town, there were 5 who had never heard of Unitarianism, knew nothing about it, didn't know we were here. In a town this size, what are we doing wrong? Yeah.
I'm grateful to all of you for doing everything, because I can no longer do anything. All my parts are falling apart one by one. So thank you for picking up the pieces and making it happen.
I really don't have anything additional to add. I'll pass.
Kat, please mute yourself and share.
Can you hear me? All right. Anyway, a long time ago, I don't know how long I've been a member of this church, maybe 8 years, maybe 10. But one time in the beginning, I went up to Dolores, I think she was the president back then as well. And I said, I told her some ideas that I had. And she said, well, do it. And I kind of shut me down. You know, it's like I didn't come up with any ideas again after that. Because I was afraid I was going to have to do it. So, and I wasn't willing. I just didn't want to, or whatever, you know. But so I'm just focusing on the share one way we can do more. And I don't want to scare anybody off or anything, like she scared me off. But, you know, I think we need to head up our ideas. You know, I mean, I love this idea of reaching out, you know, Art and Julia both reaching out to members of the community who don't get out much, or reaching out to members of the UU community and the broader community, to people who don't get up. But that project needs somebody to head it up, you know? So, I mean, we could do so much more if people headed up their ideas. It would be amazing. And I'm also on board with Jan. You know, I love the promotion, you know, and to promote ourselves, so that, you know, we talked about at the board meeting last week. Why is it, you know, we're laughing because nobody ever reads the website, you know, nobody ever logs on to the website, but why don't they log on to the website? And how can we get it so that more people in the Cambria community log on to our website and find out more about us? I mean, that's like a marketing thing, and something that we really could do more of. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, if you would mute yourself and share.
There, folks. Just acknowledge all the great ideas that have already come through this. One of the big things I really love about this church is and you guys have already kind of mentioned it, is the fact that you guys get out and demonstrate a lot. Mostly on that street corner out there, just right by the vet hall, which I am really thrilled about. I love it when you guys are out there. I'm always passing by, usually honking the horn, and every once in a while I've actually stood up there with you guys. And I love that, and I think doing that like on a regular basis is pretty cool. So, and there's a lot to do it for. We certainly have the war and refrain, which most people have been talking about here. I think keeping awareness about that around the community is useful. And I think that's another way of getting people into church too, is being out there, excuse me, and demonstrating. So I'm going to just say, hey, great, more of it. Let's do more of that. Stick with it. And I don't really have anything to fault anybody with. I think it's really great. I'm glad you guys are doing a lot of this stuff, and I'm happy to support all of it in any way that I can. And of course, I'd be happy to volunteer as well, Lane, so get a hold of me. So, and I think also projects like that, especially with taking care of the earth, which Wayne has definitely demonstrated a lot of that with us and given us a chance to do that in the community. I'd love to do more of that as well. So I'm happy to follow up with a lot of it. And again, I just want to acknowledge all of your guys' work and what you already have done. And I think that's really cool. And I'm just quite pleased. And I know pride is a sin, but I'm real proud of you guys.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Has everyone had a first turn here in the sanctuary that wants? Yes, Kathy has the last comment, and that's
an acknowledgement of Margaret, who has done a lot over many years, and she was one of the original 8 or 10 initiators and told me about this 14 years ago when I stayed at her house.
fantastic. Hey, great comments, great comments.
Okay, Anita.
Anita? Okay, go ahead.
Anita.
Hi. I always like to have the last word. And so I want to thank you all. I'm not a doer, but I like to pray and to play. And here is my little bunny. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries, including the scholarship. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all the gifts given and received, and for the work of this community. Now let us sing in praise of our UU faith and tradition. Please stand in body and/or spirit and sing the closing hymn, Let This Be a House of Peace, number 1054.
Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of freedom, guardian of dignity, worth held deep inside us. Let this be our house, a platform for the free voice, where all our sacred differences here shall not divide us. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace.
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish the flame of this chalice, and we know the light, truth, love, and warmth of this community go with us until we meet again. Please extinguish your chalice at home. Let's form a circle and join hands. And I know I'm supposed to stay up here, but I think I'm going to grab this mic here. There's more conversation, we know that, so we'll have more meetings and more discussion on it. It's just a beginning. But my benediction says, thank you for your presence. Thank you for your participation, speaking or just listening. Thank you for your thoughts, feeling, and ideas that you share. Thank you for growing our UU community. Go in peace and love.